This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are we live for everything now? Okay. Okay, you ready, Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay, we're waiting for you.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, you're good. Okay, we'll go ahead and start on the Chapter 3 zoning districts and regulations. I'd like us to pay attention to the table one. This is actually pretty important throughout most of this, each of the districts, especially when we start getting into other things. Everyone look at those and have, anyone has any questions on those before we go into the actual definitions?
This page corresponds with the map, okay? But these residential low density, that is something that we might want to consider giving more of a updated name. Like I think other municipalities will call it like, R1, 2, or 3, or B1, 2, or 3 because of residential versus business or commercial. So if there's more appropriate names, we can update those easily.
And then I think when we were sitting in there, the agricultural one, is that one, do we just keep that in case we annex?
Exactly.
We need to annex this at some point,
Yeah, so, we could.
And that's why those are there, that's what I thought too when I read that, I was like,
yeah, because we don't. Exactly.
Are they all different size acres owned on the other side? Is that why the acreage is split up between the 3 different levels?
Yeah, so it was like, well, I don't know. That was just, we left that in there just because of the annexation kind of stuff, but also Alex Hogel, when I met with him briefly, he had said our map, even our current map, reflects outside of town limits. It reflects a jurisdictional area. So we may want to consider, because we only administer town limits, to our map reflecting that. And one of the things that he suggested is that maybe instead of the whole extra jurisdictional area that we are allowed to administer, we just concentrate on maybe the entrances along the highway a certain distance, because this encompasses areas such as like the golf course and stuff, and if there is some kind of litigation between neighbors up there, we might get, the town of Ennis could get drawn into that, because technically, if they're on our map.
Yeah.
So that was his recommendation, is that we work.
What about the Goggins side? That's the only other agriculture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So basically we would just skinny this map down to not include these areas that are, this is our current map, like, and this was adopted, I'm not exactly sure, in 1996, and they included those extra jurisdictional areas that they may have administered at one point, but we currently don't administer those. So it was Alex's recommendation that
To shrink it.
to shrink it down, and he said he would be willing to help us because his office, has the GIS, plus it would be a good working relationship with the county to work on administering just those highway entrances, and that's similar to what the community of Red Lodge does.
So does anyone have any question on the table, and we'll go into it a little bit. The agricultural districts, is that pretty straightforward? Anyone have questions with that? Okay, the residential districts. The residential low density. Questions? Residential medium density.
This stuff didn't change that much from the.
It didn't, no. The only thing is that we did add currently our.
Because I looked at that one, that has some crossouts, right? The smaller.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then here's our current zoning district.
The setbacks just changed on some of it.
Well, we also added, we have up, right now, we have up to residential town density, which is 8 units per acre. And that another recommendation from Alex was to have it is to use actual numbers. Instead of saying 8 dwellings per acre, you would say, 1 unit per 5,445 square feet. So it's very clear. And then we did add a, it says residential high density.
Let's really pay attention to this particular one right here.
Yeah, so right now, which is very actually, once we gave the North 40 their blanket variance, it would be, so residential high density, I think is defined here, is 12 units per acre, which would be, so lot sizes would be about 3,630 square feet would be their minimum number of square feet, which is approximately some of the sizes in the North 40. Some of those lots are that
Some
size.
are smaller at that point in time too. Is that where we would be looking at variances on some of those when they come into that?
Actually, no, if we pass this, we could do the high density there, and they already have a blanket variance.
But I was just using them as an example because there's a couple of them that are a lot smaller than that.
Yeah, and this happens too, like even in medium density, there's a section down on 2nd Street. Our current zoning, let me get oriented here. Our current zoning has them in low density, which requires them to have, I believe, a ½ acre, and a lot of those lots are only a quarter of an acre. So that's where some of the inconsistencies come in, and why we needed to revamp this.
But one thing we have to remember too, what's currently here is essentially grandfathered in. What this will be for new building, or if someone tears something down and starts over again, then it would affect at that point. It's not like we're going to go through and people that aren't into what we're passing aren't going to.
Yeah, this is only for new development or redevelopment. So, and we are seeing, homes being, different lots being, if it's an old house, there's been instances too where they tear it down. So.
The high density 2, is that on common way? Is that the government housing?
I think so. We updated that because right now that's one of the ones that didn't fit, and so we tried to update it. So so that is that. I think it's that big pink one. Yeah, and I think that's what my copy's not great, but I think that is what that was the intention, is to take those properties that are now non-conforming and then give them their own section, so they don't have a battle and take the burden off them if something happens there.
Well, usually put 4 units per section.
Yeah.
Per section.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on the high density? Okay, the mixed residential commercial districts, local commercial and residential.
So these areas are, right now, on our current map, this is basically 2nd Street and then William Street. So it's, I don't think that had changed. I think the only addition that we made, oh, no, it's on the original map, is the acreage that we own over here by the rodeo ground. That is, and on here it's the same too. That didn't change. It's just kind of funny it sticks out there by itself. But I guess we did look at changing. No, that's the same too.
Okay, core commercial.
So core commercial is downtown. We also then included that area that Dr. Washburn owns down there if he would want to do any kind of development down there, that is considered to be core commercial down there. And then also, they looked at the area up over here by Town Hall. I think this was initially called highway commercial, and then to put it under the core commercial moniker. So then that way, one of the differences, and we'll get into it, is that highway commercial had a huge setback of like 50 or 100 feet. And if you bring it down to core commercial, then they come to the town of Ennis and they can pretty much work with us on what, no setback or whatever, depends on the project. So it gives them more freedom to work with instead of being stuck with that huge setback.
Does anyone have any questions with that one? Okay, the commercial districts, the highway entrance commercial. Pretty straightforward. Any notes on that one, Lisa?
Yeah, so this would be a different, it was kind of changed a little bit from this highway commercial. These are the areas that are feeding into town, 287, US 287, and then Montana Highway 287, going in and out of town. And those are the areas that Red Lodge and other communities have identified as being very, very important to your town, because that's what leads up to your areas and makes a really big impression. There was a 2011 shopper survey. It was a super host, Mr. Bancroft, I think you were involved in that.
I don't know if it was 14, but I'm pretty sure it was the 14 one.
Okay, so, anyway, that was one of the areas that were identified by that study that said that we needed to improve upon the look of those areas. So that was the impetus for renaming it Highway Entrance Commercial.
We need to watch this one specifically, especially with annexation, because depending on which way we go, do we want that as the look of our town as you're going out? Let's say we're going out, you got the dump, and it's essentially in the middle of the town. You really have to focus on all of these things. Yeah. When we come into the master plan, I think a good chunk of that is put in there so we can really look and set some standards with that.
Yeah.
And the state just about dictates what can they do on the commercial things. It's like the Zorba Inn. They cannot come from the highway in. They have to use the alleyway.
I understand that, but that's a state thing, but design, let's just for example, Lure Me In decided that they wanted to wipe that out and start over again. The commission would be able to set the standard for what that's going to look like when we need to be very careful on that, because that is one of the big things that's coming into town. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. And all of those uses, and what's interesting about zoning is all of those uses, like, we need the dump, we need car shops, we need all of that, and that's where the master plan will also help tie this in. So it's great that we're going over this, and then if they have suggestions on how to make this better, then all the better, because we need all those things in our community. We don't want to say you can't be here, we just have to make it fit.
I appeal, yeah. For lack of a better word. Okay, permitted, conditional, and prohibited uses. Let's pay a little bit of attention. Permitted uses, all uses listed as permitted uses in each zoning district are permitted outright and require only a zoning permit, building permit, and or town business license is applicable. Only those uses specifically listed as permitted uses are allowed in the applicable district. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. Accessory structures that are customary and incidental to the primary residential uses of a property, including but not necessarily limited to attached garages, storage, tool sheds, greenhouses, workshops, are subject to the requirement for a zoning permit. Can you give me an example of that, Lisa? Just one example for.
Yeah, you wanna put it.
So that's.
Wouldn't that be like if somebody wanted to put a shed on their property?
Yeah,
So
you need to get a zoning permit.
You can put the concrete in, and it doesn't require a permit. but it does require a permit for you to put the building on it.
Yes,
So any additional structure to.
yeah, any accessory
It's
structure.
actually defined
Yeah,
in this first part. It says, right here. Sorry, it's on page 8. Accessory structure. The subordinate building located on the same lot as the principal building or subordinate use of land, either of which is customarily incidental to the principal building or to the principal use of land. Examples include on-premise advertising, signs, electrical generators, solar panels and wind turbines, swimming pools, storage sheds, greenhouses. I guess that's it.
yeah, those are examples include, but I think, yeah.
Okay, conditional uses, this is another one we can pay attention to. A conditional use permit must be obtained before those uses specified as conditional uses within certain zoning districts may be established. A conditional use permit may be issued only when an application has been completed and the town commission has found the proposed use will meet both the requirements of a particular district involved and the conditions specified for the use.
Give us an example of that.
A conditional use would be, if, you want to have
Would that be like-
an event, like when they did the concert, they got a conditional use to do it out at the music festival on the North 40. They got a conditional use. If you wanted to have an event, Corey wanted to have an event that it was a fundraiser where he was charging money for something at his house, technically you would have to do a conditional use permit. If, you want to block off Main Street and have a sale, you get a conditional use permit.
Such as the rendezvous, the Shedford rendezvous when they block that street off with the conditional use.
Well, what about commercial, when he's put up signs on the commercial building downtown, advertising where he's at? They all said that was wrong, but it's still there.
Yeah, those probably need to come
And the
down.
sign at the IGA, because no advertisement was supposed to go on that, and it is.
Yeah,
So
and I think that.
how do you tell other people who are coming in, say, I put my sign anywhere I want, you can allow that, you can allow mine?
Yeah, no, I would agree that those need to come down, and I think the one at the IGA, I think that's gonna have a solution soon.
Yeah, I understand,
Yeah,
but I mean.
You guys will have to say on all of that.
yeah.
That'll all come from you.
So, yeah, so I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that. So, I think we can talk about when we get to signage, that's in like chapter, we can have a good discussion on that when we get to signage. So, but that was, yeah.
Well, the whole thing is, like, I don't know how you would make him take it down, because he could just turn around and say, I'm grandfathered in, even if it's wrong.
Well, no, because we do have,
Because the man takes it down.
That
no,
doesn't fly.
no, not, yeah. So,
That's the short of it, that doesn't fly. We need to have that taken care of. Okay, prohibited uses. For some zoning districts, a list of uses that are expressly prohibited. Oh, we got a typo here. Provided in the description of each district. These lists are provided for clarification and ease of interpretation only. And it is not in any way intended to be the exhaustive list of all uses that are prohibited in the applicable district. In general application of this zoning code, any use or uses not listed as permitted or conditional uses are prohibited. So with that being said, if someone wanted to do something and they came to the council, is that how they would, I don't know what they would be able to do.
yeah, when we get to it, when we actually have live examples, it's a lot easier to do. I think what we try to do with the permitted uses is make them more general. In our current zoning, it's like, you can have a bowling alley and you can have a print shop, and they were very like specific, and we tried to open that up a little bit more. So then that way, when someone does come in with a very innovative business, that there's that opportunity for them to.
But they're also, they have to adhere to the zoning
Yep.
Which they can't, there's so many feet that they have to be back from the edge of the property for their building to even be put in there.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So they would still have to go by the, whatever setbacks, whatever zone they're in, they would still have to adhere to those regulations. That's correct. Yep.
Okay, determination of district boundaries. Let's read through that, 1A through E. I'll give you a second if anyone has any questions on that. We're good. Okay, the agricultural districts. I don't know how deep we need to go in this one particularly. Just maybe take a second and,
Yeah, because that's one of the things that we could leave it. That's only if someone really annexes in. I mean, they're part of our extra jurisdictional, but if we follow Alex's advice and get out of that, then they probably won't be applicable anymore.
I'll let you guys go through that. Second, we'll spend a lot of time on that one. I've spent on some of these other ones.
And I don't believe we changed much on these at all, because it was, yeah. I think if anything, we reduced the setback.
Yeah. That's all I saw.
Everyone get on the resident or the agricultural. Yeah, we're going to the residential. Low density to encourage single family neighborhoods. This includes setting for standards for the bulk and scale of residential structures so that properties do not become overbuilt. Ensuring the open yard area, street connectivity, and streetscapes that are critical to the attractive and desirable neighborhoods. The density of no more than one dwelling unit per 21,000 square feet shall be permitted. Pretty basic there. Permitted uses in RLD districts, no building or premises shall be used and no building shall be erected or structurally altered except for one of the following purposes. A single family dwelling, home occupations in accordance with section 11(4-9-E) of this ordinance. Multi-family dwellings of all types up to a 4-unit structure, including condos and townhomes. Structures containing 4 or more residential units are subject to design review by the Town Design Review Committee. These projects shall also meet off-street parking requirements in accordance with section 11-4-7. Public parks, playgrounds, and recreational facilities. Pretty straightforward. Okay, conditional uses. The following uses are permitted in RLD districts subject to meeting the requirements and procedures prescribed for conditional uses and the requirements of section 11-4-9, standards for certain uses and structures about. 1 accessory residential unit. Essential services, churches, and other religious institutions, home-based daycare business, providing care for up to 12 or fewer children, community residential facilities, and planned unit developments. Anyone have any questions on those?
I just was wondering, at the beginning it says the density of no more than one dwelling unit per half acre, 2,100 square feet.
Is it 21 or is it 21,000? It says 21,000.
Sorry. Yeah, that's still half acre. But then it says you can have an accessory residential unit. Well, and my first thought was a multi-family dwelling of up to 4 units, so that, like a 4-unit, like a 4-class, yeah. Would that just be considered one dwelling unit?
No, so that would be considered 4, and so you would have to have 2 acres. In this zoning district, in this low density, you would have to have 2 full acres to have a 4-unit.
No.
Does that make sense in that type of district? Which we don't really have a lot of this district, the low density, actually.
Doesn't look like we have any.
I don't think we have any, actually.
Yeah,
It's showing one there.
there's some outside of city limits.
There's some outside of city limits, but there's none inside of city limits. So this is like if a development comes in and they want to, have, rolling landscapes or, that kind of thing. So, and then you can have an accessory, it's under a conditional use, so an accessory residential unit. So if you want to build like a mother-in-law apartment, stuff like that, you can do that. You just have to get a conditional use permit through the town.
Why would that be a conditional use? So we didn't define conditional use as.
Because I think we do have, accessory residential unit. That's just, this is the follow.
But
The
actually,
process.
all of the things in the conditional use, none of those are banned things, and we define that as, when we're talking, I just want to make sure we're not in trouble. When we did on page 38, the conditional uses, we said that was event-based. Is that something?
It's not only events. It's not only events. It's the use of the property. So.
Okay. I was just making sure that.
Yeah, the events were just an example, but it's the use of the property.
This says a conditional use is a use that is allowed in the zoning district if the use meets certain requirements described in section 11.2.13 of this ordinance.
What was that, 11 what?
2.13.
Oh, so the zoning appeals, I just had to see what it was.
And this is where, if there are some,
Where the investments, that's like.
yeah, but, and if there are cross references that are wrong, then we need to adjust them, so if that's not the right cross reference.
Yeah, this is where we want to do this. We want to try and do this when we go to first reading. Okay, this is on. I was looking at that in a different way.
Oh, it should have been 11.2.15, not 13, because then that's conditional use.
Okay, so where is that?
That was just the definition of conditional use on page 9.
Okay. So yeah, so someone wants to make that correction. Do you have that place or
Or
you?
it's on page 10, sorry.
What I got here.
It should just be 11-2-15. But
Yeah, so
okay. Let's go back to the original question.
because when you move into an area, you're saying that this zoning area is for this, and then if you want it, you can have an accessory residential, but that's just coming before the town council. That's letting your neighbors know what we're supposed to post it, that kind of stuff for conditional use permit. So, and if we want to put any conditions, if the town council would ever want to put any conditions upon that.
Pretty good, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure you're good. Okay, prohibited uses, Class B and C manufactured homes. The Class B or C manufactured home is removed for any reason. It may only be replaced by a Class A manufactured home or a conventionally site-built dwelling unit on a permanent foundation. all commercial and industrial uses.
I believe we have, it's a different.
I basically saying that if you remove a manufactured home and you replace it with a manufactured home, that the dwelling would have to be on a permanent foundation.
So here is what a class, I'll read the definition of Class A manufactured home. It's on page 14, if you want to look at it. It says, a Class A manufactured home is a single-family home built off-site or in a factory that meets uniform building codes of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development at the time of production and meets the following standards. A single-family dwelling constructed not more than 8 years prior to the placement on a permanent foundation is at least 1,000 square feet of living space. It's 20 feet wide at its narrowest point. It has a roof pitch of no less than 4 to 12, and eaves not less than 12 inches, not counting any gutter. Utilizes roofing materials which are generally acceptable for site-built housing. Roofing materials must have the appearance of shake shingle or tile roof. Siding material which has the appearance of wood, masonry, or non-reflective metal is placed on a permanent foundation for which a building permit has been issued, or a perimeter skirting that resembles a conventional foundation of a site-built home, and it's constructed of brick, concrete block, or treated lumber. G, the hitch or tongue has been removed from the unit. This definition does not include the term mobile home or house trailer as set forth in section 15-1-101 Montana Code annotated. So basically, if you're pulling an old one off and putting a new one in, you can do it if it meets those standards.
Shouldn't you be able to have a metal roof?
Sure, yeah. You could add that on there too.
The pitch is correct. Does anyone know? I don't know. I for some reason I want to say that they're all like 312 pitch for some.
Yeah, I don't think they're 412.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are. I think they're all 312 pitch for transport down highways.
But it says less than 4 to 12. Is that not a fit that?
Well, it has a roof pitch not less than 4 to 12, and I want to say that all modular homes are.
Oh, are they? I don't know. I think we got this definition. We, borrowed this from I think Shodo.
So. Do you need to change that or?
Maybe look at it.
Look it up.
Okay. I'm just writing it over here.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. That's why we're going through this. And then there's definitely things that like we, when looking at different things, we borrowed from other communities too, so we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So, but if there's things that need to be changed, that's.
You said D needs the metal roof. Is that what you're looking at, Jason?
We could just add that.
Yeah, so I got my note here.
Many manufactured homes come with 312, but can be upgraded to 412 or 512.
Should we go 312, which is basic though?
Usually pitches of 512 come only on modular homes.
Which would define a modism.
A modular home is a home that's built
Off-site but in pieces
and constructed, and then once it's on and put together, it's considered a stick-built home. It's not on a metal chassis.
Right.
So, I mean, we could just put that down to 312 instead of 412, but.
Should I put it or?
You can,
Because 412 is going to be like an upgrade, isn't it? Basically.
it's not the same.
My house has a half 12 pitch. Are you saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put 312 in there.
How many of this? There's not that much of this, really.
No, but this is.
Well, I don't know. It's just like if yeah, this was like.
This is a good one to really take the time and focus on, and the other ones will be easier because we'll have.
Yeah, I guess it just depends, we want to allow just, because for a while, I think it was in the 60s, everybody put a trailer in their backyard, Yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
close.
And so I think that was like, it was like, it has to be, you can have a manufactured home, but it has to have an upgraded roof. But if we don't want that, we don't have to have that, that's fine too.
Okay, design standards. All structures must comply with residential design standards, section 11-4-8. We'll be coming to that. That's the one where I'll spend a little bit of time on too, because it's on,
Yeah, so we want to go to 11-4-8.
we'll hit it when we get there.
Okay.
This is coming up, but we'll spend some time on it just so we know that it's there. Dimensional standards, setbacks. Any difference on the setbacks from code to code?
Yes, I think these were reduced. Let me find the setbacks in our old.
Is this map our current map that
No.
we're using?
No, this is our current map.
Okay,
This is more.
That's the proposed, map.
Which like she was talking about, fits for the model A.
Okay, so currently in low density, the front yard, our current setback is, low density is 25 feet. So where are we, so if we're on page, so we reduced the setback to 20 feet. The sides remain 10. The height is, we went up to 30 feet. It's currently 25. We went up to 30 feet. Because a lot of people, if you build a 2-story house, you're having higher ceilings now. So we went up to 30 feet.
Lisa, did I miss the rear?
Rear is 10 feet. That stays the same.
Same?
Yeah,
Okay.
that stays the same.
Okay, so setbacks and the height are the big changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what we did add, which is different, that is not on this sheet, or it kind of is, but it's really this, if you've ever worked with this, Jason, you probably have, like, this chart is a nightmare. Because then it talks about the intensity and stuff like that. So the zoning commission tried to make it more clear that you have to have a minimum lot size for that, and then minimum lot width based on street frontage. So you have to have 75 feet street frontage. And then the most you can cover the lot. So if you have a lot that's 21,000 square feet, is that the most you can cover on the ground is 8,400 square feet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they can go up, but they can't cover more than 84.
Okay, but then, okay, now let's, JJ, the minimum front setback landscaping requirements. This is the one that we will get kickback on, the landscaping requirements, so be very, when we get to that, we really need to look at that. That's the number one kickback we've had from this whole thing is the landscaping requirements.
Yeah, and that was the reason for that, so from your setback.
60% of the front setback has to be landscaped.
Well, in landscaping, when we get to it, it can be zero scaping, it can be a lot of different things. So
Just
this,
clean up the, make it look.
but I would never thought we would have had to put this in here, never in a million years. And then on Hugel Street, and I think Larry listed it, Larry built a house there, he put a really cute front yard, and then 2 lots down, all they did was just run gravel. And so, and this, yeah, so, and there's not one tree, not whatever, and it changes the look of the neighborhood. So, so if you have your front setback, so you have 75 feet, I'll do a little math, 75 feet by, or front setback is 20 feet. So what is that? That So your total setback in the front, 75, 1,500. Because you have to have 900 square feet of some kind, and that can be grass, it can be trees, shrubs, it can be zero scaping, which is really cool. That's low water, that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's different options.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different stuff, yeah. It could, yeah, some of it can be rocks or whatever, it just has to have some kind of component. And again, this is only for new or redevelopment. Only for new or redevelopment. So no one's going into your yard and telling them what you have to do.
Does anyone have any other questions on that? This will make the other ones go a little bit quicker, except for the specific parts of it. Medium density district to provide areas that are suitable for a mixture of single-family, multi-family dwellings within the town's infrastructure service area at a density of no more than one dwelling unit per quarter acre and land, or acre of land, 10,890 square feet.
So this area is mostly up, out on 2nd Street and then like Casamari, not Jefferson Street. Rodeo, yeah, those areas.
So I have a question on this. Should some of these lots on Rodeo and
You're right, are
they're
smaller.
smaller than a quarter acre already.
Yeah, so
we
we
just draw that.
yeah, we should adjust that, absolutely. Yeah, we can have it jog into Rodeo or wherever that is.
Where those small ones are.
Yeah, where those small ones are right on, is that Grizzly Street?
Kind of on the opposite side of Grizzly.
Yeah, we
So
should.
yeah, on the south side of Grizzly, but then also down Rodeo, there's a couple quarter acre, or less than a quarter.
Yeah, so we
Oh,
should,
that whole like inside lane.
yeah, so we should definitely adjust those. So,
Well, they're not gonna go any smaller, so it's just those 6.
yeah. Good catch. So keep that in mind when we're going through stuff like
And then this lot across from my house is just slightly over a half acre and it has 2 big duplexes on it, so would that one need to be included as well?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, or just have it be non-conforming. Yeah.
Originally set up as a alternate nursing home.
I don't think so, I think it's just
He
apartment.
moved that, and he was having those, older people stay there, and then he changed it around and made apartments out of it.
Yeah,
But it was
Ones across
originally
the
set
street
up
from you?
like that one in town where they had the
Generations,
Yeah.
yeah, Generation
Yeah.
on Fagan Street
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then he expanded and went over to the other side
yeah.
and built across from you. And that was supposed to be a nursing home. And next thing you know, there's 2 houses in there and they're apartments.
Yeah, I think that one, he should have gotten probably a different zoning permit.
Well, if you take the one that he took in town, he violated the setbacks. And he knew it from day one, and he paid a little fine and walked off.
Yeah, and so that's
We
where,
should
yeah,
have just said, tear it down.
yeah, and that's where our,
And
Their
then he
certificate of completion.
and he can do whatever he wants.
that's, I think
Basically,
that,
that's
yeah. And that's where we have to, follow our own code and enforce our code and enforce it across the table and not just.
Well, I can see you enforcing the new code, but I can't see you enforcing him to do anything.
I don't think we can do anything retroactively there, no. So this is only for new and redevelopment, so,
So
yeah.
we have to get more information when somebody wants to do something, what they're really planning on doing and have all the ducks in order. And
Absolutely.
that's one of our biggest problems.
I totally agree with you.
I guess actually now that I think about it, since he does have a half acre, he's got 2 buildings on the half acre, so it would be 1 per quarter acre, so it would conform with this.
Well, he's got 2 buildings, but how many units does he have in each? So I think.
Each one's two,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
No, there's 2 duplexes, and then the other thing's a garage.
Yeah, so that just might be non-conforming. We could leave it at that, or we can adjust it, whatever you want. I have.
Draw it along, just
Yeah,
First Street to the end, and then include those lots. Go over to Rodeo and Grizzly. I guess should we just figure it out now, or should we wait and figure it out later?
it doesn't matter, we can figure it out now. That they should be town density, and then what about that, like, there's that section, behind there, that I think, that Clark's own, that nothing is on, you know, whether they develop that or not, do we want that to be
You
medium?
just move the whole line south
Sure,
to that where the Clark zone
sure,
through. Should we draw it on Blake's map?
yeah.
No, I think we should keep it on yours. You're gonna be the.
Here, do you want a Sharpie? What color you want?
I like, you're gonna become our map, authority.
All the way through?
That's
It's right here. That like little.
So he's just talking about, see, this is Grizzly Street right here, bumping this back to maybe in here, so this would be town density as well, and moving this all this south.
That's what I'm wondering, where else could we do? Yeah.
These. It's just
Okay.
we're talking
Yeah,
these.
okay, yeah, here.
Over.
But then this is now subdivided, how big are those lots that were just done behind you? Because where are you? You're here?
That's me.
Okay, but then these were just subdivided, right,
Those
Scully?
are half acre, that's already on the,
I don't think so, because those were just done. Isn't that this piece of property? I guess, do we still have those maps up there, how big those lots are? With the
it's already online. They're, half acre lots.
they're that big? Oh, okay.
There's-
So those
there's
would
3 half
tie
acre
in.
lots.
Okay, so we just want to include you in town density, and then go up this way,
Sure.
and then this way.
Kelly said we had taken over to
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's all up.
Board of Justice and then-
Well,
she said.
what they're asking for, there's, they're
What's that?
send him a bill.
Instead of trying to have them on.
Yeah, it's gonna go to you.
Oh, here, I'll make that, I wish I didn't have pink, but, okay. Oh, here, this is your map.
You want a different color?
Yeah, do you have a different color, like a yellow or orange?
Green? I do have orange, I've got orange, I've
Because
got.
I don't want to make it pink and then get confused on,
Kelly didn't text me to say come.
me too.
Not kind of, a common.
Shrine football meeting.
Last time he sat over in the shack and was listening to the meeting in the shack, and if you could have probably come in if you wanted to.
Thanks so much, Cinder.
Closer to your
Here you
house
go.
than it is the shack.
What's a shack?
The shack. I call it the shack.
Thank you, Ginger.
You're welcome.
That's perfect. Okay. So now we know where we're talking about. That's always helpful.
Okay, are we good to go on to the residential town density, or do we need to?
No, I think we still need to come through the permitted uses, conditional uses, you know, that kind of thing, go over the,
Okay, conditional, oh wait, permitted uses, sorry. Single family detached dwelling, home occupation in accordance with section,
and this should be all numbers, they shouldn't be this is the formatting on here. But yeah, so to go, do you want me to just go over home occupations right here, so then when we see it in the future ones, we can,
yeah.
It's 11:4, right?
yeah, so let's see, 11.4.9E. Is that right?
Wait, we're jumping, let's, we'll deal with that when we get there. If we go backwards, it's fine, but let's.
Well, I just want people to know what a home occupation is. So when they see it, because they're gonna see it in the rest of the district too. But maybe that one has the wrong cross-reference too. So this needs some serious formatting.
What are we looking for here?
We're looking for the information on the standards for home occupation.
The use of a dwelling or an accessory building on the same zoning lot for commercial activity. These activities must be clearly secondary to the use of the structure as a residential dwelling. In addition, the property must be located in a residential zoning district.
Yeah, and I think we also made other,
So like if you wanted to have,
Hair salon.
or an office where like.
Yeah.
Chiropractor.
Yeah.
Or like
exactly,
you're a lawyer, you.
exactly, and that's what, we have to find that, 'cause that's,
I think one thing
It's on
we need
page
to
12.
do also,
no, but there's another like section, like it's saying, it's not just defined, but it talks about, home occupations, because they have to meet certain standards, like they can't bring in a bunch of traffic and things like that.
I think we need to move chapter 4 in front of chapter 3 too, because you shouldn't have to be going deeper into it. We just have it, your definitions and all the stuff ahead of, running into those.
Well, no, you could do that, but this very defines the districts first, and then it's all your stuff. Let's see.
What we're doing right now is what we're trying to avoid is having.
I know, but when it's online, you can click it, and this one, but if you have all this stuff first, it's, you know, and I'm sorry, I don't know why.
We're playing choose your own adventure, which is.
No, we're not, it's misdone, if we would have had it. Home occupation, page 64. So we were way off on, well, it's 11.
We need to change it to 11:14 instead of 11:49.
11.4.10, yeah, exactly. Okay, home occupation. A home occupation is a use that is considered accessory to the dwelling unit. The use shall be clearly incidental and secondary to the use of the dwelling for the residential purposes and shall not change the character of the residential district of which it is part. You can have one full-time employee, no more than one full-time employee may be employed at the dwelling unit other than the resident and domestic house. Limited alterations. No use shall require internal or external alterations or involve construction features or the use of electrical or mechanical equipment that would change the fire rating of the structure. Outside storage. Outside storage shall be permitted for home occupations if it is screened or located within an accessory building. Traffic and parking. The use may increase vehicular traffic flow and parking by no more than 2 additional vehicles at a time. No commercial trucks larger than a 3/4 ton pickup which I don't know how big are regular pickups now. But
Some are one tons.
Mine
I have no
would be
idea.
yours is a 3-foot, okay. Shall be parked overnight. Performance standards. No use shall create noise, dust, vibration, smell, smoke, glare, electrical interference, fire hazard, or any other hazard, nuisance, or any greater or more frequent extent than usually experienced under normal circumstances in an average residential occupancy district. Basically, they don't want you, getting a full-on industrial thing inside the garage.
Right, so would this be an area where we would want to address junkyards?
Yes.
The one that we have?
Well, we will, it does, we've got a property maintenance clause here, so not right here, but yes. So this is only residential district right now, we will get that, there is a section on junk, I think there is property maintenance and junk vehicles, so we will, don't worry, Corey, we're gonna get to it.
So that's just 10.
Yeah, so that 10, and then 10, whatever, no.
11-14. Okay.
And then here you can have an accessory residential unit. And then I think we also say, accessory, okay, so an accessory residential unit are subject to the following conditions. An ARU is only allowed in conjunction with a single-family detached residence. The maximum floor area of an ARU should be 600 feet. The ARU, that should almost be bigger, I would think. The ARU may be located within an accessory structure or within the principal residential structure. If the ARU is within an accessory structure, parking for the ARU shall be at the rear of the subject property. Only one ARU per tract of record is permitted. An ARU shall not be rented unless the owner of the property resides in the principal residence on the property in question. Get this back to my first one. Great. So this is basically, this kind of goes hand in hand with, like when we were talking about Airbnbs and stuff, and mother-in-law apartments and stuff like that. So it basically says you can turn your garage into a mother-in-law apartment. The 600 square feet seems kind of small to me.
Shouldn't it be at least 8 for somebody to live? Isn't most studios 8 or 6?
Bozeman has, like, they max it at, like, for an ADU, at like 850 or something.
Okay.
6 isn't that. I think like the gym, those are gotta be like 4 or 6.
Yeah, so this is a max, so do we want to do a max of 850 then?
For an ADU?
Yeah, well, we are calling them ARUs.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, so AR is accessory residential, or you can call it ADU, whatever. So do we want to say 850?
Is the max?
600 max is kind of small.
It is small.
But 850, yeah.
Or
That's like probably
1,000?
mine. No, 1,000 is good. Too bad.
Okay.
1,000 is not too bad.
So 850 then?
Where?
850 is a little more.
It's right
So
here.
we were on 66, that's talking
Oh,
about.
there's 66 now?
Yeah, well, just talking from the accessory residential unit. This is just how it goes. This is how this is how all kind of done. And when we have it online and when you can click the link, it's gonna be.
But I was gonna say right now, when we're going in and we're trying to explain this and we're having readings, people are gonna have issues with this because it's jumping all over the place like this. And you say that it happens, the whole reason we did this
Okay, so
was to close this in so we weren't having to jump.
then you
So
have
the
to repeat
definitions
it.
go to the front.
So you would have to repeat it every single time. So having this, our current code doesn't even say, go check out this other section. It's just the nature of the beast of any kind of code. Unfortunately, the formatting is off, and so
That's fixable, but.
yeah, it'll be easier because then we would all flip to that correct section, right?
Yeah.
So,
We'll correct it as we're going.
yeah.
It is kind of difficult though to have to reference section, so you're not repeating yourself.
Because if you wrote that out every time.
Time, it would be a
that's
500-page code, yeah.
Another half page.
Yeah.
Did you give me that?
Yes. I just
Okay.
never send it via response until I've ordered it.
Okay.
Because then I'll forget it, and I'll, if I tell you, that's not I get looked
Okay,
at.
other conditional uses are gonna be bed and breakfast, essential services, which are like police, fire, internet, anything like that. So, but those are under conditional because we want them to come to the, either the Board of Adjustments or whatever. So when something big is going in like that, we want that. Churches, home-based daycare, providing for up to 12 or fewer children, community residential facilities, and planned unit development.
Let's fix this number 4. Churches and religious institutions are subject to the following conditions.
And it doesn't say anything.
And there's nothing there.
Yeah, so that must be.
I'm wondering if we just need to take off the subject to the following conditions,
Yeah.
because they're gonna be there.
Exactly, so take that off. It's not in the other one, so that was one go.
Okay, prohibited uses. Commercial and industrial uses. Yep. Class B and C manufactured homes, which we went over in the other one. Design standards, all uses must comply with residential design standards of section 11.4-8, is that right? If I were here.
Residential design standards.
Just want to make sure the reference is right.
Page 58, I don't think the reference is right, I think this is all, yeah, 11-4-8, yeah.
That one's good.
Is it reasonable to have a page number along with that?
No,
Or-
because it's gonna be codified and that won't,
It'll change.
it'll change once it's on line, unfortunately. And if something else gets bumped in there, then if it ever gets amended, then the page number doesn't go.
Okay, dimensional standards.
So on this one, we are, medium density, so the front,
That's what I was saying.
they came down,
I mean, from the last,
Yeah.
density, the low density to the medium density.
density, yeah, so they were, lowered from current, just the front one is, lowered to 20, side is 10, rear is 10. Again, maximum structural height is 30 feet. Minimum lot size per residential dwelling unit is 10,000 square feet. You
That's
have,
about a quarter acre.
yeah, minimum lot width based on street frontage, so you have to have 50 feet of street frontage. You can cover up to 50% of the lot, which is 5,000 square feet. And a minimum front setback landscaping requirement is 60%. Same here. Okay, now we go into town density districts. So town density is pretty much most of town.
Okay.
If you look at your map. Or I guess I should say this. Yeah.
A residential town density zoning district is intended to preserve and enhance established residential areas of Ennis while allowing for a variety of residential product types, including single-family detached houses, duplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and multi-family structure. Permitted uses are single-family dwellings, multi-family dwellings, someone check 11.4.7 to make sure, of all types up to 4-unit structure, including condominiums and townhomes. Structures containing 4 or more residential units are subject to design review by the Town Design Review Committee. These projects shall also meet off-street parking requirements in accordance with section 11-4-7.
There's off-street parking and loading standards.
Okay. Home occupations in accordance with section E of 11.4.10 E of this ordinance. That one line up.
Yeah, that one does.
Okay, 23. And then public parks, playgrounds, and recreational facilities.
So we've got basically the same conditional uses, such as bed and breakfast, essential services, churches, community residential facilities. Is that new? No. Home-based daycare businesses,
Same.
planned unit developments, same prohibited uses.
And so, okay, so on our dimensional standards, this is the one where the front came down to, it was, in our current one, it was 25 feet, and it comes down to 10 feet.
So it's a smaller lot, it's giving them more area to build on.
Yeah, so they don't have to go so far back.
Back, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the older homes in town are really close to the streets. So,
One thing we need to look at too is 11.5.2, we don't have anything in 5. Like, there's nothing here.
okay.
It goes from 11.4.19 to 11.6.
Okay, so we might have to, yeah, redo the, I don't know where the format is.
Why are we doing less height in an ordinance?
Oh, yeah, we can take
That
that
should
up.
be 30 still, right?
Yeah.
Because those are gonna be duplexes.
Yeah, we can go up to 30, sure. I have no problem with
Especially with the, like you're saying, a lot of people are just building 10-foot high.
that. Yeah,
So we're going back to 30 on that one?
Yeah, 30,
Okay, just making sure.
should at least not be less than the last two, which were less than height.
And the setback, the front setback went,
down
25 to 10.
25. So it's giving them more room to work with.
One thing I had, bed and breakfast, would this also include like a hostel? I don't know. Maybe that's in our definitions, or maybe define, or does it even?
Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely look at that.
could be commercial.
Would a hostel be commercial?
Typically, like kids traveling.
Do we have a hostel defined?
Shared drive.
Because what, yeah, I guess, so what is, in a hostel, they're just renting out individual rooms or whatever?
Yeah, or bunks. I mean, it's kind of similar to a bed and breakfast, from that perspective.
Except you have a lot more density.
Possibly.
Yeah. We have a hotel, we don't have hostel at the top, defined or whatever. You wanna include hostel? Is that, or do you wanna put that in like local commercial?
I don't know if they're much interested in hostels.
What about the boarding house? Is that the boarding house? Is that a hostel?
Where's that at?
I don't know, so do we wanna allow hostel?
If you allow hostile, you have to like parking.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably not in the town density area, but like,
Maybe local commercial, and that would fall under because that local commercial is an area, kind of like, yeah, there on Stephens, or, you know, what we just approved with that, thing. With multiple. Yeah. No, the one that we approved behind Long Branch and all of that kind of stuff, it can go in that area.
yeah, because there's already those, you know, that kind of thing is basically a hotel. So that should just be in the areas that already allow bed and
Yeah.
breakfast and hotels and motels and stuff like that.
Well, I think bed and breakfast is still like yeah, I don't know, this is where zoning gets fun.
All right, we'll define it later, I don't.
So, well, no, if you're gonna put
When
it
we
in,
need
if you're
to.
gonna put it in there, you're gonna need a definition.
Sure, I'm just saying, I mean,
Just leave it, or?
yeah, I'd say just leave it.
Okay.
Community residential facility, is that?
No, that was really interesting, because what we have right now is something else. Our community residential facilities, the definition on that is, it meets the following criteria: a community group home for the developmentally, mentally, or severely disabled persons that does not provide skilled or intermediate nursing care, a youth foster home, a CHIP foster home, a youth shelter or care facility, a transitional living program, or a youth group home as defined in 52-2602 Montana Code annotated, a halfway house operated in accordance with regulations of the Department of Public Health and Human Services for the rehabilitation of alcoholics or drug-dependent persons, a licensed adult foster family care home, or an assisted living licensed under 50-5227 Montana Code annotated. So that's what those are. And so those would require a conditional use permit. And so that is allowing the,
Should we just include hostels under that definition?
no, I don't think we can put, no, I think community residential, we can just put hostels in, but we have to have their own definition of a hostel. Hey Kelly, you can mute yourself.
Unless you got something to say.
He's not very.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have an internet connection. You want to Google hostel? Yeah, this is where,
I've got it written down for us to put in here.
hostel definition. An establishment that would provide inexpensive food and lodging for a specific group of people, such as students, workers, or travelers.
Right, so basically have to do a designation, a youth hostel or a
Yeah.
traveler hostel.
Yeah, a hostel is a form of low-cost, short-term shared sociable lodging where guests can rent a bed, usually a bunk bed, and a dormitory with shared use. I think we could put in hostel, but you want it like, how big are, I've never seen a hostel.
Is it like by the Legion or whatever downtown Bozeman? Can't you, that's a hostel.
Yeah.
There's one on, yeah.
Where you can rent a bed.
I think we could say hostel up to a certain size, because you don't want someone coming in and being.
Yes.
You're welcome.
I don't think those is good.
I don't think so.
So, yeah,
Yeah, let's just write it in, a new definition, and then,
okay, so hostel,
well, now that I see that definition, dormitories aren't in here either.
Would you combine the two of those together?
That would be a good idea.
So we would do it on the conditional uses, we do that as number 8.
And then, but for which one would we start at? Town density, or would we start at residential high density? To allow those.
Probably the high density,
I would say the high density.
So starting at high density, then we would go from, we would allow them at high density, we would allow them at commercial, and we would allow them at,
Well, I think on local commercial and stuff, it does have, let me look here. It does cover like some of more lodging kind of stuff. Local commercial.
permitted uses.
Residential lot, so, okay.
Doesn't say anything about hotel.
Oh,
It says prohibited is hotels and those.
I think we want those in the core commercial. So, because local commercial is kind of like what you were saying, it's a mix of like professional offices, it's like that one street off of Main Street that it's like, oh, maybe he's got a dentist's office or something like that. And I think,
You see that all over.
yeah, so you see that all over. So it doesn't have the, big hotels or whatever. Those are reserved for more commercial areas. So highway entrance commercial or the core commercial areas.
So we should start allowing hostels and dormitories,
Maybe in local commercial, yeah.
starting at local commercial and then going higher. Like, you could have them in the highway, commercial.
Well, I think that is covered for, those are covered for hotels, motels, that kind of thing.
So we're not putting it in residential?
So we don't want to put hostels in residential?
Okay.
I don't think so, not residential town density.
Okay, just making sure as I'm making changes.
There's only a very tiny spot that is high density, I guess you could put it there. So mostly just L-CR.
Yeah, so LSCR.
That's not allowing, it's prohibiting, hotels and motels, but we would allow on conditional use a dormitory or a hostel.
Okay, well.
Are you keeping the high density in there too? Or just going with the local commercial residential?
Just LCR or LCR up?
Well, and then no, she's also asking in the
High
high
density.
density.
There's only those, like, 2 places, right?
Yeah,
You currently,
but yeah, moving forward,
So 7 for high density,
Sure, why not?
yes, no?
sure.
Up to a 4-unit structure, sure.
So the number 7 is
do we talk about, like senior living facilities?
That is the, community,
Oh, yeah, we just.
yeah, residential facilities.
Sorry.
That's okay,
Stuff just
it's,
pops into my head, I'm like,
and it's so confusing.
So now with that being said, are we done with residential town densities?
Residential town density.
Page 43.
Yeah, so we increased the structural height to 30 feet, correct?
Yep. Okay, residential high density.
Oh wait, and then we get into, yeah, it talks about maximum lot coverage and floor area ratio, but, okay, residential height.
Is there a big change there that we?
No.
Okay. Residential high density zoning district, RHD, is intended to encourage the development of higher density residential areas in Ennis, while promoting a variety of residential product types, including single family, detached houses, duplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and multifamily structures. Permitted uses, single family dwellings. Is that is that gonna be changed?
What's that?
How it goes to
A, yeah, those
So it
seats,
should be 2.
it should be a 2, that should be a 2, and then
3, 4.
Okay.
Right.
This one, yeah, okay. Okay, multi-family dwellings of all types up to a 4-unit structure, including condominiums and townhomes. Structures containing 4 or more residential units are subject to design by the Town Design Review Committee. These projects shall also meet off-street parking requirements in accordance with 11-4-7. Home occupations in accordance with section E of 11-4-9 of this ordinance. Public parks, playgrounds, and recreational facilities.
And then it should be C, not B, C conditional uses.
Are these
Yeah.
all typo, do we put the 0 in front of it?
I think so, yeah. I don't know what happened.
Does he have this on his computer that one of us can just get it and go back through and fix it?
Yeah, I can tell him, this was, Mark regard,
Or I can sit down with him and show him all these.
yeah, exactly, yeah, we can get the formatting fixed.
One of us can hang out.
Okay, conditional uses, the following uses are permitted in RHD district subject to meeting the requirements and procedures prescribed for conditional uses and the requirements of section E of 11-4-9, standards for certain uses and structures if applicable. Accessory residential units in accordance with section, I'm not sure what.
I think we need to just take in accordance with section out, because it talks about this.
Yeah, because some places that's there, some places it's not, so we just gotta.
Essential services, churches and other religious institutions, community residential facilities, home-based daycare businesses providing care for 12 or fewer children, planned unit developments, and then I also have number 7 is hostel and dorms. Prohibited uses, all commercial and industrial uses, class B and C manufactured homes. Design standards, all must comply with residential standards. And then dimensional standards. Is there any reason why there isn't a 5, chapter 5? 11.5, there's no 11.5 anything. It goes from 11.4 to 11.6. Is there any reason? Okay, I just didn't know if there was something else.
That was probably clicked out or something and then never changed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's no 5. No, wait, this is 11.4. The same thing. 11.4, 11.4, and then 11.6. Yeah, we don't have a chapter 5 at all.
So that's one step.
Okay, sorry.
This one goes from 11.4 to 11.6.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was any reason that they pulled something out. Yeah. Or left it in case you want to put something in, maybe. Setbacks, front 10 foot.
Sides 5, rear 5, yeah, so that came, well, this is a new district, so.
The setbacks in between them are smaller.
Well, so this is a brand new district technically, so there's no real change, I guess, so.
Okay, mixed commercial residential districts. Does anyone have any questions on the other one? Okay. LCR, local commercial residential districts. District is intended to provide a smooth transition between commercial and residential areas, while at the same time providing opportunities for low-impact commercial and office uses away from the higher intensity uses and higher traffic volumes of the commercial districts. A pleasing, walkable streetscape will also be an objective of the LCR district. The adaptive reuse of residential structures for non-residential or mixed use is encouraged as long as they comply with the standards for commercial uses. Permitted uses. In LCR districts, no individual non-residential space shall exceed 1,200 square feet in gross area. The total non-residential space shall not exceed 5,000 square feet in gross area, and the total gross area devoted to parking and vehicle circulation shall not exceed 6,000 square feet. No building or premise shall be used, and no building shall be erected or structurally altered except for one of the following or demonstratively similar purposes. Bed and breakfast, accessory, churches, daycare, community residential, eating and dining establishments, offices, shops, and services that generally serve the day-to-day needs of nearby neighborhood residents, single family detached dwelling, single family attached, multifamily attached residential units up to 8 units, including condominiums and town homes, residential lofts above or to the rear of the commercial permitted use, home occupations in accordance with 10-4-7, and we now have 12 hostile or dormant.
What's it? Home occupation is different.
10-4-7 is parking.
Yeah, so it's,
9, 10.
it was 11, no.
10-4, not 11-4.
So it was 11-4-7. It's either 9 or 10. Thanks, man. But hold on to page. We're using 9. 9 is a planned unit development, 10 standards for certain uses and structures to expand.
Oh.
I think I highlighted it. It's 10, 11-4-10, and, yeah. It would, 11-4-10, it would be, E. So 11-4-10E. E, sorry.
Okay, any questions with that one? Oh, we'll have to go over conditional uses, sorry, just on the permitted uses.
And this is kind of tricky too, because if you look on the map, this is where one side of Stephen Street is local commercial, and then the other side is town density. So just think about that, and what do we want to do there?
Say that again?
So on Stephen Street, and I believe on, no, on both sides of it.
North
So-
of Main Street?
No, south of Main Street on Stephen Street. The north side of the street is local commercial, and then the south side of the street is town residential. Should it just be one
In the
district?
middle of the street.
Yeah, I mean, it can, but then, it's one of those like, oh, how come across the street they can do this and I can't do that?
Is there none?
It should be both sides of the street, right? I mean, it already is on the corner where the
Yeah.
Three Rivers is.
Yeah. So why wouldn't it be there?
Ultimately, that'll be expansion of Main Street, yeah? Is that what you're?
Well,
or
I
expansion.
mean, yeah, but for like the people that live on the
Well,
south.
wouldn't that be also like back one more where the car charger is? Or is that 2 more?
That's a 2 more. So I'm just saying, it shouldn't, the zoning district probably should be split down the street right there, is all. Or that's just a suggestion, because then it would be like, and then it would go to Ennis Street, and then it would be town density, but Stephen Street, all of it, not just half of it, not just the north half.
North half.
I think all of it should be.
So you split it in the alley?
Yes. I think that's a good, yeah. Because to me, it kind of seems unfair that the people across the street.
So the alley behind Stephen's?
Yes. Yeah. So I guess the lots on the south side of Stephen Street would be local commercial residential too. So, I don't know. And does anyone have any input on that? And I think like both sides of William Street should be that way too, right?
Where is William Street?
Well, Williams is the one north of Main Street.
Yes. And I think that one is already.
Yeah, behind the library.
Pharmacy.
West, that-
Exactly.
And it's
So-
CR on both sides of Williams.
LCR, yeah.
LCR or CCR.
Or yeah, LCR or CCR. So I think that one's fine. It's
That
just that Second Street is kind of weird.
All right, I'm gonna draw this on my map. Is everybody in agreement with that?
And when we do this, we will have to notify all those folks that they would be up for a zoning change, right? Yeah. So
Does
they
it
would.
matter if they're grandfathered in?
Well, no, well, it will matter because, so those folks, so on the south side of the street, it's all just like single family homes, right?
Oh,
But if they go to sell, they can sell it residential, commercial.
So if they go to sell, or they don't even have to sell, if they wanna say, oh, hey, if I wanna put a,
Hair salon.
if I wanna put, yeah, local commercial, if I wanna put an office, or if I want an eating or a dining establishment, someone could put a, you know,
Restaurant.
they could put a restaurant there, but as long as it,
Well, even the people that own Koenig's old house they're setting up basically a big fishing lodge resort. They purchased Scotty Stone's old house and they
Yeah.
kind of
yeah.
opened up that fence line and they're moving in that direction. They have 2 rentals on their property.
Bed and breakfast.
Yeah. And they're not currently zoned. That's.
What would you say, client housing?
Yeah.
With that?
Client housing?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
There is already a haircut place right on First Street.
Yeah, First and Second,
include
she's using
that.
that, yeah, you can include that.
Is that?
I think it should just go right down,
Yeah.
well, that would be considered a home occupation, really.
yeah, I would warn against chopping up areas.
Because then it makes it
Too much.
difficult, yeah.
Yeah. makes
So
it
I would
really
just leave
difficult.
that one, instead of including that one lot, we'll just leave, just go down the alley of Stephen Street, and then that way, because that hair salon is really considered a home occupation for
Okay.
those things, so.
That's fine.
So this is more than like a hair salon, this is like
Yeah, this is like,
a restaurant.
yeah, good, perfect. So a restaurant, like, an
That you would have more than 2 people at once.
yeah, an attorney's office, you know, kind of think, I know no one ever wants to be compared to Bozeman, but if you think of like Babcock and Mendenhall streets in Bozeman.
There's tons of, yeah.
So, I mean, think back in the day before there's like high rises there. There's like a lawyer's office and there's a print shop and so that kind of stuff. And there's a little sandwich place, you know, so those types of things. Yeah.
So Main Street could grow.
So yeah, because once commercial area starts to spread out, as we get more houses, they're also gonna need more services. Does that make sense? As we get more residents, there's gonna be, and I don't know if there is a direct ratio of like how much, when you have so much residential area, if you then wanna have X number of commercial area, that's something that maybe a planner would know or whatever, so to make sure that we're not running out of commercial area.
Without you paying more taxes if you have a commercial lot or a residential lot?
My commercial lot,
Yeah.
my property taxes are like 1,200 on my, 1,200 to 1,400 on my.
So it must be on a more.
Now,
So I don't
Oh,
know.
no, I mean,
What's your house?
your house is, or your commercial space is probably about the size of my house. So that's probably about the same. I don't know how that works, Ginger, do you know?
I do not.
And
But I
for some reason
I have to call
commercial,
Virginia
it's not
City
that.
tomorrow to find out some other
I
stuff.
think
So
Okay.
I'll
I
ask.
Yeah.
Usually when you see a commercial lot, that's.
Add it to my note.
More than a single family home. There's a lot more valuable and you're paying more taxes on that commercial property. So if you split that road, that street, and you make it all commercial, and you have the residential homes in there, what happens to them?
I don't know, that might be a question, is Larry still on?
He is not.
So before we move that, maybe we should see. if-
I don't, but I don't think that there is that big of a difference between commercial and, I don't think the
I-
mixed commercial, I don't think there's that big of a
I
But I
don't,
don't think that's, when we're looking at zoning, that's not something that we need to.
Worry about.
Get into.
But no, we shouldn't even be considering that.
Worry about
The
it.
zoning needs to be what the zoning is. What happens on the backside that is, it's something that someone might ask, but I don't think that's what we base our zoning on, is what people are paying on taxes on the lot.
We need more tax money anyways, right?
We wouldn't get more done.
Isn't that the truth?
Okay. We're on conditional uses here. Essential services, planned unit development, that's it for those. Prohibited uses, drive-through facilities for any commercial use, adult entertainment, hotels and motels, taverns, bars, and casinos, vehicle fuel dispensing with or without retail. You question on any of that? Dimensional standards. Height, feet, is that up, down, same?
Let's see, local commercial, same, that seems really high.
Yeah, it does kind of
but is that what Main Street generally one is?
Yeah.
40? And like Lone Elk Mall, I think they're.
I don't think Lone Elk Mall is 40. I think maybe, yeah. I don't even think Genera's, that new building downtown, Jason, do you know? I don't even think that's 40 feet.
I think it is, isn't it?
I don't know, honestly. I know it's solid in any building.
Is it a flat roof?
It's an angle roof. It's like half well.
It's got the false front that looks.
Yeah. The false front is what makes it look so tall, because that's like a 6-foot wall.
Sure. It's 27 feet interior.
Yeah, so it is, the structure, I mean, 40 is pretty tall,
Yeah.
so. And this is on those back streets, so does that seem appropriate?
Well, I mean, we're already allowing it on back streets. LCR.
Because no one has ever done it, I just don't want there to be,
Well, how tall is the bank? It's not 40 feet, but.
I'm not good with looking at it. You guys can look at things and tell me how high it is, I can't tell.
I mean, just,
We muted him.
I'm just saying, but like if you're in one of those houses, okay. So say someone buys, so if we change it, someone buys it, what's that lady's name? Barbara Pate's house. It's like a little house on Stephen Street or whatever. And now they can build 40 feet tall.
So what is it
That
currently?
seems, it's currently 40 feet, but you don't have anything in town that's 40 feet tall.
It's currently in this orange local
Yeah,
LCR,
yeah,
it's 40 feet.
yeah. That just seems kind of high to me.
Do we need to change that, or do we need to keep it?
I'd say we change it.
Because
Sure.
you think 40 feet is kind of tall for
Yeah.
those back streets?
Yeah. That's good.
So what are we thinking, 30?
I think the idea though is to basically bring those back streets into basically our core
Yeah,
growth spot, so we don't want to limit anything.
yeah.
And plus we don't want to
What would
already
be
bring it
40
down
feet
from
tall?
40 feet.
You don't have anything 40 feet tall currently in town.
That would be basically a 3-story structure with the
Additional,
trusses,
yeah.
with the trusses on top.
So we want to change it, we want to leave it?
We'll leave it, well.
So my question is, so on Main Street, you can build up to 40 feet, but then this zoning line that we're talking about putting in is on Stephen Street.
It's
in
on,
Wilmington.
yeah. And currently, I mean, if someone had wanted to put a 40-foot structure, we couldn't have said no. So I don't want to take away stuff from people,
Why
but
don't we say it can be 40 feet, but we can make width and height ratio requirements.
yeah, so
We can
that
have,
would
like, a
be,
really
okay.
skinny-
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what, dimensional standards, what is that? That's the, what do they call it? Is that the FAR, the floor to area ratio? That's what that number 3 is.
Oh, that's
On
right.
what page?
Page 46,
In the dimensional.
and the dimensional standards,
Number
it's the
3.
floor to area ratio. And that has a definition, the floor to area ratio, and I think it actually has a little picture too.
Go back to the definition.
Yeah.
The definition's on page 10.
It's on page 11, floor to area ratio, that's exactly what it's talking about. What Jason's talking about, we have to make it tall and skinny, if you're going up.
So is a 3.0 the number that we need? Someone help us out here, builders.
So is it a 3.0 doesn't even make sense because there would be a ratio like 1:1 or 2:1 or.
So
Yeah, so what would
what is it that we need in there?
Well, let me read this.
So 3 would be 3 stories, is what they're saying. Yeah.
What else did you say on the last one?
It says most places call for bars of 2.0 to 3.0 in town centers. So I don't think we're wrong, but I don't know how you get to that.
So what is a bar of 3.0? Let's look that up.
For like office areas, 3.0 or office areas. Building area divided by lot area.
So would it be a 3 to 33 if you're going 3 stories from the example that you got here? I just don't know. Because
Maybe
one
we
story is
can we just have
100% coverage, 2 stories is 50% of the coverage, 4 is 25, so 3 would, I guess, would be
Why don't
35.
we ask for Alex's help, make a notation and ask for Alex's help on this one?
Yeah.
Because that's gonna
Boom. So, yeah, basically we wanted to say something like, you can build 40 feet, but you have.
can't take up the whole lot.
It's gotta be like a ratio of 2 to 1 instead of 3 or something like that, so it's why.
It would be,
And that would also restrict people from being able to build that tall in a very small lot.
10,000 square foot by 10,000 square foot equals 20,000 square foot. It's kind of what they're saying.
Do we want to restrict it from being able to build that high, or make it so it's,
Well, I think you can go that high, like Jason's saying, you can go that high if you've got more space out here, you know?
If you've got the space, you can go that high. If you don't have it, then you can't.
If you've got a really skinny lot, you can't go that high. So if you want to put multiple lots together and go that high, you can go
okay,
that high.
okay, good.
So, but well, why don't, if you don't mind making a notation that we've got, we'll ask for clarification.
They give picture diagrams of what you guys are explaining.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna cover the whole lot, you get 1, but if you're gonna cover a fourth of the lot, you get 4.
Yeah. We just want to make sure we have the right ratio.
So 3 to 1 means you could go 3 high if you're taking up, or 3 to 0 if you're taking up. But it explains it and has pictures.
Maybe Alex, yeah, so maybe Alex will know how to write those things. Because we do have a picture in the definition, but we're still confused. So let's consult a professional now.
Yep. Okay, minimum lot width base, 50 feet. Landscape ratio 15% and lot coverage 85%. Any questions on any of that? Off-street parking and loading shall be in accordance with 1147. I think that's actually right.
Yeah, that's right.
Hallelujah.
On-site signs shall be in accordance with section 11, -3-6-3 of this ordinance.
That's the next one.
Yeah, that might be right. 11-3-6, yeah, that's not right.
Because the next one's 11-3-6-2.
Yeah, so, signage, so signage is actually in the back, I want to say.
Signage is in the back.
Maybe it means 11-6-3 instead of 3-6-3.
Yeah, that's how.
11-6-3,
No.
11-6-5
is
would be my
sign
guess.
type definition.
Okay. 11-6-5.
Do we need to go further?
To be chapter 6. So 11-6, yeah.
11-6-5. Oh, oof. Hang on a second.
But then if we didn't have a chapter 5, we would go right to chapter 6. We'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Does there need another dash on that one? There's address signs, there's.
I know there's a lot to signage, that's why I said you go down.
Yeah, I just think you do
even one.
11-6-5, and
Just
then
leave it
and it
there.
goes all the way through all of
Okay.
those things, yeah.
Outdoor lighting shall be in accordance. Is outdoor lighting 11-6? Are you there in the lighting or the signage there?
Okay. Outdoor lighting is,
11-4-6.
That's what they're saying. Oh, wait, that's actually probably right.
11-4-6, you think?
Yeah, for outdoor lighting, it's outdoor lighting standards. Yeah. Okay.
Or 11.
Fencing shall be in accordance with 11-4-11.
I think that should be 4-12 fencing standards.
Okay. Well, sidewalks shall be provided along the entire frontage in accordance with the town's transportation design standards. Public right-of-way can be used. In draft form under review, is that still?
yeah, so Jerry had submitted those forms, too, so that would be a whole nother document that we need to review. So,
What is
A
that?
homeowner would have to put sidewalk in?
what's that? There, yeah, it's saying
Yeah, if
it's
you build a new one, yes, you would.
Only in that.
in that area, yeah, in that commercial area.
And always keep in mind, John, that it's for a new building. Okay. So not, anyone
Like
that's
the
already there,
people
you
that
have to.
Right.
Exactly, that's exactly what that's at, yeah. Because then as that, as more development happens like that, then,
Someday they might.
yep, exactly. Cool.
So we still need to do a transportation design standard section?
Yeah, and I can email that to you, that was, Jerry Revens didn't have that part ready, so that is a whole nother document, supplemental document to that.
100-page one.
We didn't even get through chapter 3.
We're
I'm gonna shut
so
up.
close.
Well, this is a
Okay.
big one.
We're only 2 pages away.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Then we
Okay.
can get to.
Okay, here we go.
So, okay, we got the sidewalks thing, supplementary regulations, all structures and uses shall also comply with the applicable standards found in chapter 4. Okay, everyone good there? We go to core commercial district. Purpose, core commercial district is intended to keep downtown Ennis as governmental, retail, entertainment, and financial center of the community. In addition, this district supports expansion and continued investment in the historical business core of Ennis and promotes a walkable, diverse, and attractive area for shopping and entertainment while maintaining the small town atmosphere and the historical character and small town atmosphere of Ennis.
there's too many small town atmospheres in there.
Did I miss something?
No, yeah, I think the second
I'm sick of
historical
reading.
character,
You guys have done good though helping me this time. I read a lot last
while
time.
maintaining the small town atmosphere and historical character of Ennis, is what it should say. the second and small town.
It was like magic back, I was like, oh. You didn't even have your eyes
I'm just reading.
Really want to make sure we keep our small town atmosphere.
Okay, permitted uses. Dining and drinking establishments, including restaurants, bars, taverns, including fraternal clubs and lodges. Indoor entertainment, such as bowling alleys, theaters, museums, galleries. Ooh, our numbering is a little bit off there.
Yeah, and all the letters are off, or, yeah, we'll get them.
Okay. Churches and other religious institutions, whoops, that's 3. Government buildings and services, including administration, employment, utility, judicial, libraries, parks, and police and fire stations. Okay. Professional and agency offices, including medical and dental, real estate, managerial, business, legal, and insurance. Retail shops and stores, including but not limited to general and specialty items, clothing, art, home furnishings, school office supplies, copy centers, antiques, sporting goods, and grocery stores. Hotels and motels, breweries and distilleries.
I do have a question on that. I think there was some talk of whether we need to put, if there is a definition for microbreweries and micro distilleries.
Or tap.
I think that falls under breweries, but, just so like we don't get a large scale industrial, so that, can we make a note on that to ask Alex? Cause like the ones we have, those are great, so I didn't know, but, you know, we don't need Anheuser-Busch on, you know, Main Street,
Just add the word micro.
but then it needs a definition.
I just put ask about micro.
Do they have breweries defined in here?
I don't know what we do, but I would imagine that it would be, you would need to have, some kind of like, how much production they're doing, because the more production they're putting out, the bigger the facility is. Does that make sense?
I don't see
Like
a brewery listed here.
So we can just define brewery and distillery as
Smaller,
Yeah, you
under
can use-
so much production.
Yeah, so if we came up with our own, if we use micro or we use small batch or whatever, we could come up with our own definition. But I think we would need to know like what their current capacity is of what they're already producing.
right, and then we basically be limiting them to what they can do.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we want to give them a range to grow maybe, but then we don't, I mean,
Most of these places end up growing out of room and they get a second location right up in town.
Yeah.
Missoula and places like that, the ones that have grown to that much production have a second.
yeah, exactly. But we don't want, you know, we don't want it to be like one thing, you know, one continuous thing. Like, oh yeah, I do get to buy the lot next to me and now all of a sudden we have a
Let's just
monstrosity.
use Willie's, for example. They grow and they just start buying stuff and just keep building on it, but we don't have some kind of
Well,
limit there.
then you have to do the same limit with Brad Diorio with medical marijuana. What if he just turns the whole town into a marijuana sales?
Well, I think the difference is that he doesn't have a grow house. This is talking about like the industrial, because like
The
breweries.
industrial side, like the warehouse.
It's not like how much they're drinking or whatever, it's the
You know, like always
production.
built that second production, well, the barrel barn that's out the back. So keep going, keep going.
Or even the brewery, like, you know, they could buy what's next to them and like keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of production and I'm not looking to limit them, but at some point, you know, you don't want Anheuser-Busch on.
You should have out of town location if you're gonna grow that big.
So that's why we need to.
Yeah, so that's why,
Yeah, I get
that's,
what
I
you're
mean, yeah, that's, I just want to be clear, and then again, this will go.
I think that to a certain degree is going to dictate itself. Like you're not
You're gonna
gonna use super expensive real estate
To do
to have,
production, yeah.
to do large scale production. You move that outside of town.
Okay, and then childcare facility is amazingly right where it's supposed to be. Okay, conditional uses.
Except for it's.
So it's in the wrong spot.
It's probably where it's supposed to be, everything else is probably supposed to be over there, for all I know, but however, actually,
So conditional uses would be.
It was 1, 24, 25, 26.
So, no, conditional uses should be the letter C.
That's what I was like, it's not there.
Yeah, no, it's the letter C, conditional
It's
uses.
just
Okay.
So, we've got,
Essential services, and so the numbering needs to be changed on
Yeah.
this too.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Planned unit developments, casinos.
and this one I wanna, bring attention to, cause like the type of casinos that we have now are like the Long Branch, whatever, they're, what it says, they're incidental to the eating and drinking establishments. We don't want a full on. Yeah, exactly. We don't want that. We want it to be like, oh, it's just a little bit of gambling with the drinking.
The only spot where I think we had a major or potential for that was Town Pump, and we made sure that was not put in there.
Exactly. And I think this is the reason for how that's worded.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is everyone cool? Is everybody cool with that? Okay.
Then residential uses, residential is allowed as a conditional use in the district subject to the following conditions. All residential units shall be located at the rear or upper floors above any permitted use listed in the section. Off-street parking shall be provided in accordance with section 11-4-7 of this ordinance. Okay, prohibited uses is D.
Yes, this is D.
Okay, adult entertainment, second here. Auto, truck, and trailer sales of any kind.
So we're not
Why?
allowing adult entertainment at all in this town?
That's what I know, I was giving her crap about this the whole time I was sitting in there.
Do you really want a strip club?
No, I'm just. I don't go to strip clubs, but.
But the adult entertainment can come in many different ways.
I think, do we have a
Like the
definition?
Oreo had the bar downtown. He had the women's mud wrestlers. And,
Do we have a definition for adult entertainment?
Yes, we do. Adult entertainment, page 8. Establishment means a business in which, as major activity, customers congregate primarily for the purpose of viewing or associating to display anatomical areas designed to provide sexual stimulation or sexual gratification. Human genitals, the immediate public. You guys just read.
that should be human reading. There goes his day.
I got to put a mud in there, enough oil for the mud wrestlers.
The only thing I said, Brad Delario, who came to the town commission, and he said, would you pay the $10 to watch that? I said, the only way I'd pay the $10 is to see you and Speedo wrestling on the floor with another guy.
Okay, so is that?
So adult entertainment needs to stay as a prohibited use?
Yeah.
I think if
At least in that area, I was just saying, like, every one of them said, can't have it, so.
Just to cover it, I think if this is something that you wanted to, just think about where it is in most places.
I could go to the county somewhere.
Yeah, it's out of the county.
McAllister.
Be outside.
Auto, truck, and trailer sales of any kind, mobile home or manufactured home sales of any kind, tire and auto service of any kind, including quick lube, vehicle fuel dispensing with or without retail, industrial uses, drive-through facilities.
So these are like your core downtown, you wanna, eat, drink, and shop, kind of.
Yeah,
Keep it like it is.
and that's, these prohibited uses are important to that district specifically, because we want to keep it a certain way, we don't want a bunch of random businesses down there.
Okay, dimensional standards, maximum height 40 foot, is that where we want to stay?
Yeah.
Well, that's commercial, so that should be.
Yeah, I mean, unless, does anyone,
Right.
we don't have anything that tall now. We wanna,
Don't challenge anyone.
I'm just,
I found an error.
okay.
No.
You're
E, okay.
Literally.
No, it says error.
Oh, yeah, section, yep.
You guys read.
Traditional commercial development standard, okay, so we'll have
Error.
to find
Their
traditional
reference
commercial.
source not found, is that all that SAS they're saying?
Yeah, so we'll have to look, so the difference was, okay, how our current code is we have all these districts, right? And then we have that overlay district of tradition, so it has these standard things, and then it has the overlay district of that traditional neighborhood development. I believe in here, we just put it under commercial development standards as opposing to have that overlay district to kind of simplify it. I don't know what you guys think about that, because in our current standard, anything in that district had to come through the channels of the town of Ennis.
I think we should keep that specifically like that, so we have a say in what's actually going on down there. Specifically, I think that's one of our most important spots. And I think it should come in front of us, and we should make sure our board of review.
So do you want to make a note on yours to do the overlay district? Because that was one of the things that we kind of struggled with as far as like giving people enough freedom to do what they want.
But in that specific area, we want to make sure it stays the way we maintain the character of it.
Yeah.
And we're not letting someone go off.
That's fair. I just want to.
Doesn't everyone agree with that?
Sure.
Off-street parking, oh wait, are we done?
Oh, so what are we gonna fix? We're gonna take out this error, was that like a quick link to a section?
Yeah, I think so. Traditional commercial development. Let me look through here.
So it's 11.6 something. No, that's signage. 6 is signage, so maybe it's in 4.
I'm looking here. That's
Eleven 411 on page 67, commercial and industrial use standards. Not development standards, but use standards. I don't know if that's the same. Residential design standards.
Maybe that's where the error issue came from.
Yeah.
So we have residential design standards, but no commercial design standards.
Yes, I think, well, I think that was.
Where is
Oh,
that?
yeah, no, maybe that is where the error is, yeah.
There's commercial industrial use standards. And the core commercial design standards would be kind of the most important, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, let's see, and we do have traditional.
Traditional commercial development standards. Do you have the old?
That, is it in that, is this one?
What section or what?
No.
Commercial and industrial use standards?
There's a traditional commercial development overlay.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
it was.
It's all read out, the whole thing.
There's a lot of pages.
But that was, and yeah, and that's how it is in our current code, it's a lot of.
That's what I'm saying, it was 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah,
But you think there should be some kind of overlay?
well, either an overlay or, and maybe that's what this was, either it needs to be the overlay like it was, or we need to come up with, or we need to
Commercial design
develop standards.
Okay. Or overlay.
And I'll look back through other, I thought I had it from that. So, I thought that's what they happened, they took out the overlay district, but they just made standard, so it was, more predictable for builders, does that make sense? So they're like, oh, this is what I have to do, because like with the traditional neighborhood development district now, what's kind of I imagine for developers, it's kind of infuriating, is this really vague standard, and it kind of depends on who's sitting in these seats of what's gonna pass, or, like if you get a super, council with super high standards that wanna hold it to every letter, then you're held with that, and if you get a, council that's like, oh, no, I don't care, so I think that's what we were trying to do, and I think that maybe we should do is that, I don't know, but come up with design standards that are predictable. Or spelled out. No.
Is it hurting your ears?
Yeah.
I know it's starting to hurt your
So I guess it depends on how you guys want to do it. Do you want to have like clear standards written out, or do you want to have some flexibility, but then at the same time, if you get a council that doesn't hold standards for themselves, then
The only thing with that is that is what it is, we just gotta make sure we lay down our rules that way.
yeah.
And hope that they fall.
Yeah, so maybe we should just come up with, I'll look through the other ones and see if we have commercial development standards.
There should be, the residential one says the standards are meant to maintain and enhance the character of the residential neighborhood, so the same basic statement.
Yeah,
I mean, you can just use this as a outline and reword it.
yeah.
To fit in what we're looking at. Okay, is the farm gonna stay the same?
Maybe that's where we need to consult.
Is that an Alex question also?
Yeah, exactly.
The what gonna say is that?
The Florida area ratio.
Oh, right. That's the part I would argue that it should be probably that on Main Street, but then one block off of Main Street, it should go lower.
2.0.
Right, yeah,
Sure.
it should say 3 here, and this one should go to 2.
Yeah, but ultimately ask Alex what he thinks on it, yeah.
Okay.
And then do you want them to be able to, right now, do you want them to be able to cover like 100% of the lot that they have? I think we have it at 95%, but what is your take on that?
I'm all right with the 100%, but you guys are the ones that got to.
I think so too.
Yeah,
With 4, you should be able to cover it. I mean, that's what it is right now.
yeah, okay, we can change that.
Do we want to have the landscaping still at 10 at that point in time? If they're taking 100% of the other, they're not going to be able to.
To landscape.
The landscape.
Right there.
I mean, it all depends on what you want, your definition of it as. I think we're at 100 on the one side, both sides actually, for the most part.
Yeah, there's no room to put trees like in the sidewalks, so.
Yeah,
So we did on the new one that we had down there, we did force the issue on that. So we did have, they don't have 100%.
they don't have 100%.
And we forced the issue, maybe we want to force the landscaping issue on that, I don't know.
I don't know, I haven't,
You take the new buildings, you build them.
Yeah.
You can't put any landscape in it because.
yeah, well, he does have those,
Sidewalk.
he does have those trees there.
He does have some landscaping.
He wanted to leave those.
Yeah. Although they're not great trees.
That's your responsibility on the tree board. Go ahead and give him something.
Yeah. So I mean, 100% is fine, but maybe we, yeah.
Do you want to leave landscaping or no?
No, we can take, I guess we can take
Maybe
it
should
off.
leave it on a case-to-case basis. If it's.
If you leave
right up
it
to the
there,
property
you
line,
can take it
can't.
away if they.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to come and see you anyway.
Yeah.
So I think you leave it on there in case they don't take 100%.
There you go. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, off-street parking, that looks right.
I saw that, Corey.
So, except the letter. Sorry. On-site signage, G. Just changing the letters there. Okay, 11363, is that right? For the on-site signage.
I think signage is chapter 6, right? It's in 11.6.
Sign type definition, regulation, and prohibitions is 11.65. 11.63 is the application, accessible.
So maybe it just needs to be just of chapter 6, 11.6, and then they have to follow everything.
Just 11.6? Okay.
Yes.
Then outdoor lighting shall be in accordance with 11, which one is that?
4.6, that's outdoor lighting standards.
Oh, okay, I screwed that one up last time too. Fencing shall be in accordance with 11.411.
No, that should be 12.
Okay.
I think,
I think that was the last one too,
fencing standards.
Okay. Sidewalks shall be provided along the entire lot frontage in accordance with the town's transportation design standards.
That's that one thing we don't have.
Well, we have it, we do have it there. Great West does have a draft copy. And maybe, and that's where I think Alex will be really.
Should we even put that in there? Why should we not just put sidewalks shall be provided along the entire lot frontage, just in general?
Well, in accordance, because there's probably within requirements.
Yeah,
So there's
exactly.
probably requirements like the.
Yeah, like the width and whatever, yeah.
Literally Denver, Colorado has different size sidewalks. all
Depending on
over.
where you
Yeah,
are.
None of them, some of them don't make any sense whatsoever.
So I think in that transportation design standards, that's where Alex is gonna be really helpful too.
Yeah, they would have to be structurally, it'd have to use certain type of concrete, so much rebar, and different curve radiuses, and different crap like that.
That I would never understand. You're gonna have to say it, I will. Okay, supplementary regulations, all structures and uses shall also comply with the applicable standards found in chapter 4. Supplementary regulations of this ordinance. Okay. You good with that one?
Yes.
Okay. It's the last one. Highway, commercial, industrial districts. Purpose. The purpose of the highway commercial district is to provide a mix of uses and promote aesthetically compatible multi-modal approaches. I think that's modal. Modal, is that right? Approaches into downtown Ennis from federal and state highways that are consistent with the historical character of Ennis. It is recognized that these commercial areas should also be attractive components of the built environment, and that many areas of the HEC zoning are located in important community entryways and need to provide for modal transportation standards set forth for this district. Recognize that much of the area zone HEC is already developed and non-conformities exist, but should be kept to a minimum in order to encourage future investment. Okay, permitted uses.
Did he try to put this in some kind of format generator?
I think it was in Microsoft Word.
It goes from
Yeah.
40
It's triple Z.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we can have drive-ins, drives, and.
No.
That's a strip club.
Anyway.
So you can't have a drive-in and a drive-through establishment. Hotels.
So
Row houses in, store.
like Naples.
Yeah, so like Naples, yeah. This having drive-throughs really is tough in a core commercial area because it impedes.
Takes up too much room.
Yeah.
Okay. Hotels, motels, restaurants, taverns, and packaged liquor stores, medical marijuana grow houses and storefronts. Do we have storefronts on the other one? Speaking of that, is that implied in that?
I mean, now that because this was done so long ago and now.
If you change it to storefront, that gets rid of the
Row
row
house.
house. You know what I mean?
Yep, I like that. I was just thinking about that. Let's see here.
Medical marijuana storefront.
The storefront is not a grow,
Yeah,
like a
so
main
do
street
are you
establishment.
saying you want to add it?
No, back before where it was marijuana stuff. It was just
And
marijuana.
that way it'll take care of the,
Gotcha.
In the core commercial.
just gotta get back to it.
In the
Yeah.
permitted uses, you mean?
Permitted, it just says, yeah, and then we did have a whole section on, I think we just left it the same.
There is a medical marijuana section back here somewhere I saw. Yeah, 11.418 on page 75.
Okay.
And that was added in, do you know when, was that like 2010 debate?
You know what, I pulled it out the other day and I couldn't remember.
That was with Becky, wasn't it? I thought she.
Yeah, that's the first time
Brad
was 14.
Well, it was the first time that I think
It
that was
wasn't
the
even
law.
Brad, it was Amy Willie.
No, it was just the law itself that they thought that they needed, it's when a medical marijuana passed.
So that wasn't 13 or 14-ish,
Right. It's-
right in that area. No,
Yeah.
And now,
So I don't know.
now you have medical.
And then you're just gonna have recreational, so is this gonna be, not applicable anymore?
No, because
And-
we still are gonna have medical cards and people that
It's
want.
still gonna be medical, even though it's recreational, some extent.
So there's gonna be medical and recreational.
Right.
So do we,
And right now, all the towns are kind of waiting for a response from MMIA because there's so many things that are vague in the new law.
on top of, there's a lot of lawsuits, and this doesn't even take effect till October. So
Oh,
this
it
whole
doesn't
thing could get blown up before we ever.
so we
get
just put a
Yeah.
question about that and we'll address it if it.
Yeah, there's not enough money or.
Yeah, I think that's something that's gonna come along.
A lot of lawsuits on it. It's interesting. I don't know how much, political stuff we're gonna be. Public and private recreation uses. Retail shops and stores including but not limited to general and specialty items, clothing, art, home furnishing, school, office supplies, copy centers, antiques, sporting goods, and grocery stores. Service stations, automobile and truck repair garages, single family dwellings, multiple family dwellings up to an 8-unit structure, tourist information centers, churches, and religious buildings.
Additional uses, casinos are allowed.
Do we want to allow those in here at any
But
point in
it,
time?
keep going, only as an accessory and clearing and incidental uses in dining and drinking
Okay,
establishments.
so like the ones that are already there.
So like the sportsman's.
The hotel, yeah. It just keeps away from the lucky little aspect of it. If you
Yeah.
get the dining establishments or whatever.
Exactly, I think that was
The idea behind it.
Yeah.
So somebody could put a Lucky Will's out there?
no, they couldn't, because it's only as an accessory, so just like the sportsman's.
Like Continental Divide has gaming attached.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, you can show that with the license has gaming attached.
Okay.
I think it's the only one left with gaming.
And, yeah, and then,
Gaming machines and live game tables shall be confined to a separate room within the establishment, accessible only through the inside of the host establishment. No direct access to the gaming room from the outside is allowed.
That again goes back to the Lucky Mills type things.
Nice, and then getting rid of that larger than 6.
So this formatting needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it does, yeah, we
Already,
removed that.
that's what I was just going through. Okay. No additional signage is allowed because of a casino. Essential services.
Wait a second. So this is going, that should be number 2.
Yeah, so that's, essential services should be number 2, what's allowed, conditional uses.
And those other 3 should be like A, B, and C at number 1.
Yeah. Oh, and here we have a discrepancy, because it's listed single-family dwellings and multiple-family dwellings as conditional uses when they're already listed as permitted uses. So,
So just cross those out.
This is why we're doing this, people.
Take all the heckers in there.
You were sitting in here before, weren't you?
Yeah.
but this is even different from that, I think.
Yeah, where is the tree section?
We never made it off of chapter 1. With those meetings, we never made it out of chapter 1. We're already way up past that.
Okay. Essential services, light industrial, single-family dwellings.
So cross single-family dwellings and multi-family
Because they're
dwellings.
already allowed in permitted uses.
So, what is that again? I'm sorry.
Cross out single-family dwellings and multi-family dwellings, because they're already allowed.
Wait, multi-family dwellings isn't in permitted uses. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and then planned unit development. Okay, prohibited uses, adult entertainment, heavy equipment sales and service and storage needs a definition. Industrial, bulk gas, propane and oil distribution plant.
And I think we need to, at the very top of the title, 11-3-7, we just need to do highway commercial and cross out industrial districts. How we felt about it, that we don't need it, and this is only a half mile long by a half mile
We don't
wide.
have just.
We don't have any industrial.
What about like Titan, doesn't Titan, who has the outside of city limits, but
It's outside city limits.
that's city's industrial.
So what happens if we zone in?
Annex all that in, that's what I'm saying.
That's why I think
Yeah, so maybe
keep it there.
we keep industrial districts there. Okay.
Okay.
But then we don't really,
But why would you prohibit industrial in an industrial district?
no, what I'm saying is we crossed off industrial districts, that we didn't have any industrial districts in Ennis. But if we should keep them, then we should keep them.
Yeah.
But the prohibited uses, bulk gas, propane and oil distribution, I don't know what you mean, an oil plant, but don't the propane companies both run out of there?
They do.
So why would we put that as a prohibited use?
Well, because you can put it, because it goes back to this way. It says that, the standards set forth for this district recognize that much of the area zoned HEC is already developed and nonconformities exist. So those would be nonconformities, but should be kept to a minimum in order to encourage a future investment. So they can stay there as long as they're there, but they.
Future going forth, you can't have much more.
And do you know more
about
limited?
that?
Do you really want to limit the ability of one of those things to come into our industrial area?
The only one that's close is like by No Axle Place.
I think here's what we should do. We should add another section, 11.3.8, for industrial, even though we don't have any in our city limits, just in case we decide to zone in further north up to.
So take out highway or leave 11.3.7 as highway commercial and then make 11.3 the industrial.
Well, we could have highway commercial, and then we could have 11.3, that's what he's saying,
Yeah, 11.3.8 would be industrial.
Industrial.
So we'll cross
And then
that one off there and make it just.
Because these,
No,
and
we-
this, and then that's where your bulk gas and propane can be and stuff. We wanna kinda, even though that area is already developed, as those properties become more expensive and stuff like that, people are gonna come to redevelop them. We want to hold them to a standard. you know, like when on that shopping thing, it was like, yeah, coming in is rough. So if they're gonna sell out, you know, or sell their property, we don't want it to get bigger in that capacity. We want it, yeah, we don't want it to be in an industrial capacity. If maybe we need to sit down with Alex and figure out where the best place for industrial would be, and he would have,
It would be far north here,
yeah.
where it already is.
Where it kind of.
Well, I think it'd
Down
be,
over by
yeah.
where all the propane tanks, that old greenhouse, and
And I think, and this is where people, you know, I know there was a hot button issue with landscaping, but I think this is where you can have industrial stuff, as long as you have some like really nice screening as you're coming in. You know?
That's a huge deal there, is the screen of it.
Yeah, so it's like, it needs a place to be, you know, and that's kind of like, you know, up on the hill, they, going outside of town, you know, they have those subdivisions that are really nice, and then they put that concrete plant, which is not bad, but, you know, if you put a few, you know, if you put a half dozen really nice pine trees in there, it would hide it more and make it kind of, you know, that kind of thing, make it fit in more, because those things do need a place in our community, but they just need to be, you know.
so back to the numbering.
So 11.3.8.
11.3.7 can stay highway commercial and then / industrial districts. And then we have 11.3.7.1, which is HEC.
Yeah.
And then we would need 11.3.7.2.
Yeah.
And we would just call that I.
And I think we do have, in our current thing, we do, and we can look at it, we do have planned industrial.
Which is,
Yeah.
Right now, it's even out of town, it's really hard to tell. It's over by like their, planned industrial,
It's right here.
it's over by,
And then up here.
so commercial industrial is like where D&D is, and then planned industrial, which is like really intense stuff, is kind of where, Greg Viovich's place is. That's where it's planned on the map, but that's not even in town.
I think it should be more north.
Yeah.
I was gonna say nothing on the south side, because once you go to the auto body shop, there's nothing, that's all houses after that, and
Yeah.
Barker Village and stuff, why would you put it past those?
I don't know, this, well,
So
that's
more
what the, yeah,
north side out.
but with some landscape standards. Because that's what more, but see here, that's how a lot of people enter, you know, it says Ennis is through the north entrance.
Yeah.
So we just have to come up with the,
I just feel like if we limit, no industrial, then that would prevent us from creating good jobs.
Bring anything else.
sure, yeah, no, but is it heavy, like planned heavy industrial, like,
Maybe
A
we
general-
It'll in front of us regardless, we'll know what it is.
well, that's, you could put it in an overlay district too, so there is still a lot more work to be done. Yay.
We're done for tonight.
So-
Yeah, we're done for tonight, let's go.
Yeah, the commercial design standards, we need to come up with that. Dimensional standards,
Here, let me write some things, because we might have, so
setbacks need to be fixed for HCR. Doesn't say what.
Yeah, definitely.
oh, it doesn't.
So it goes 1, and then, I'm just saying the formatting. 1,
Yeah.
then it should be A, B,
It's jacked.
C.
Yeah, and then, okay, so the dimensional standards, it says, 10 feet, no more than 25 feet, because this is how, you want them closer to the street, so it brings it in, so it's like an entry area instead of being like strip mall type stuff. So that's the difference. If you give them 50 feet, then you have all the parking in front, and you get, it's strip mall style, which is, that's not what we want.
Right. So then everything else is just off-street parking, on-site signage, outdoor lighting, same as all the other ones.
Yep.
Fencing, and then supplementary. And then we're done with section 3.
Okay, before we stop, when do we want to meet again?
Wait, don't forget the 3 people that want meetings that are And you talked about the other day,
Yeah.
yesterday?
Yep, we need to look at that too. So we've got 3 building projects that we need to get in and have them come in and review with us.
Have they purchased the property yet?
I don't have all the answers on that. I know that they're either working on, I think they have purchased, all 3 of them have purchased, but there are 3 projects we need to look at. I think we just need to
The
schedule.
2 that were on last month and then a different one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first of all, when do we want to have another meeting? Let's start with that.
For this.
Yes. But we'll probably also throw one of those in there too.
Next Tuesday.
That's cool.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. So schedule one then. Whichever one Art thinks is the most important, schedule that next Tuesday for us.
Winter
The 9th,
Yeah, are those,
9th, 6 PM.
Oof, we're gonna have a double meeting on that one.
That's what I said, I gotta see people twice then.
And then the 11th is our regular meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So how much do you want to cram into the regular meeting?
At least one of those.
You want another one of those at the regular meeting?
No, we've got
No?
work meetings going until we get this done, so we'll have one at this next meeting, and then we'll have the other 2 as we have these work meetings.
Okay.
We're not gonna try and jam that into a regular, meeting. We're gonna have other stuff to do.
Can we have food?
For the night? Yes, we can do that. Let's like food for the night of some sort. What do you want? Because you always ask me, what do I want? I always say, I don't know, I don't care.
Tuesday, you have to eat 2 for 2 pizzas.
Nothing
Nothing
else?
else,
We had
nothing
pizza
else.
last time.
Hey guys, help give her some ideas.
I'll handle this time. I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
You're not gonna ask me.
White Castle.
No, I got the Tuesday one. After that, we'll go with suggestions.
Okay. So Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
And then Thursday.
Yes.
Move to adjourn. Don't we have to? You opened it. We have this discussion, I think.
Looks like we're done, Kelly. Thanks.
I am hungry
thanks
now.
everybody for.
Thank you, Ginger.
Whoops. See you in the morning.
I cleaned up last time, you guys should clean up.
Your highlighters. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Yep.